Day 25. Upon returning to Bherna, Ventaler, Puerlis, and I took on a quest asking us to handle some Renoplos that were crashing into and destroying equipment belonging to the survey team. I was glad to do it just to try and do as many quests as I could, and Puerlis was glad to come along to face the Renoplos that had disrupted their fishing when they first joined us about a week ago. While we dealt with the Renoplos that morning, Luna went to collect some unique ferns and abyssal mushrooms that someone I suspected was not entirely sober requested. For some reason, this request, and the fact that apparently researchers would go gather unique ferns to eat with the excuse it was field work, made me begin to question what exactly these ferns were. Day 26. I decided that today I was going to go on to Pokke Village. However, knowing that the village situated in the mountains near the Arctic Ridge was cold and that Ventaler didn't like the cold, I offered for him to remain in Bherna and take on some other quests or do some training if he wanted to. At least until I could get him a coat or something. He took on a quest from a girl who needed some tropical berries for a shortcake she wanted to make for her mom's birthday, which I thought was very wholesome. It reminded me of my own mother, whose birthday is also soon, 6 days away on May 9th. I haven't been able to contact her in a long time, ever since before the Shadowborn Empire days. The only person who was there back then I have been able to contact still is Malraz, but even he has been quiet recently. Anyway, that aside, Puerlis, Luna, and I went on to Pokke. It felt more welcoming than Kokoto, certainly. Turns out that their chief is a descendant of this massive Wyverian who wielded this equally massive sword that serves as a tourist attraction there, if that even is the original sword. There's also someone who watched the movements of elder dragons, though I was assured I would not be seeing any elder dragons anytime soon. The Pokke chief didn't realize I was a hunter for a moment and wanted me to be a spokesperson, basically advertising the sword as a tourist attraction. But when she did, she asked me to slay 10 Gaiaprey in the Arctic Ridge as one of the many tasks that were piling up around Pokke because, for some reason, their hunters were not there. Kind of like Kokoto. The hunter that owns the house I stayed in there was gone too. I did get a place to stay in Pokke too, though as far as I could tell, nobody lived there already. After getting situated, the three of us went out to the Arctic Ridge to hunt the Gaiaprey we were tasked to. It was definitely cold, but the cold of the Arctic Ridge was, in my opinion, significantly more bearable than the heat of the dunes, especially with the hot drinks we were provided. Slaying the Gaiaprey didn't take too long. They were kind of like the Velociprey that lived in the verdant hills, but they were lighter in coloration and could also shoot ice at you. That ice shooting alone already makes the Gaiaprey more interesting than the Velociprey, and in my opinion, they were prettier too. There was, however, one question that came to my mind that my hunter's notes did not seem to answer. How did these assumedly cold-blooded reptiles stay warm in the cold of the Arctic Ridge? It's easier to understand with the desert since it's hot in the day but cold at night, and during the day they can burrow or take shade under rocks. But how does this work in an Arctic environment? Did they just move to a warmer area of the Arctic Ridge if they got too cold? All the other creatures I've seen here, like the Popo, the Bullfango, and the Blangos, had fur, but the Gaiaprey did not. Day 27. Ventaler is still in Bherna, and he took on a request getting ancient berries for a man's wife, and then the rest of the day training, while Puerlis and I went on a quest to fight our first large monster in the Arctic Ridge, the Bulldrum. I only brought Puerlis and not Luna too, because I thought I wouldn't have much difficulty with the Bulldrum. After all the Bullfango really did was charge, so I figured the Bulldrum would be pretty much the same thing, but bigger. I mean, that's how all the other monsters I fought thus far have been, after all. Just the small versions of themselves, but bigger and stronger. For the most part, it was, though it did have a few attacks I was not so much expecting, and I got caught up in a few places. Furthermore, there was a moment where Puerlis was just laying there. I think he only managed to heal me once in the entire fight, and that was after I'd already used a first aid med on myself. Naturally, I was a bit annoyed about that, but Puerlis faced no repercussions. I'm not that kind of person. The Bulldrum in itself really wasn't that much of a fight despite the lack of healing I got from Puerlis. I'd say the main thing that made it annoying were the Bullfango that naturally just wanted to ram into me. I managed to kill the Bulldrum in the same zone I found it in, which I do not believe happened to any large monster so far. Later that night, Luna decided to go to the Arctic Ridge on her own to take out some Blangos, but a Bulldrum showed up and caused some problems there too. Thankfully, she was perfectly fine and got everything done. It was just a quest that showed how annoying a Bulldrum could be. Luna was able to tell where the Bulldrum was, however, and avoid it, some of the time. Day 28. While Puerlis and Luna stayed behind in Pokke in the Arctic Ridge to gather some mountain herbs and do some accounting respectively, I went off to Yukumo to meet up with Ventaler. Let me tell you, Yukumo and the misty peaks near it must be my favorite place in this world so far. It's absolutely gorgeous with the hot springs, the mist, the mountains, the waterfalls. Oh my gosh, it's just so pretty. And the temperature is lovely too. No need for hot or cool drinks. No wonder this place doesn't have trouble attracting tourists. Also, their hunter wasn't gone, simply allowed me to use the house for a bit, which was great. Kind people too, even if the chief's way with words is a bit interesting. I may just make Yukumo my main home village here in this world. Oh, and of course I was very happy to see Ventaler again, even if it hasn't been that long. I got a quest from the Yukumo chief asking me to slay 10 Jagia, which were basically female Jagi that were larger and often defended the nests, but were currently a threat. I gladly accepted, enjoying both the scenery and the hunt in the misty peaks. Beautiful, beautiful place. Day 29. Today, Puerlis remained in Pokke to do some gathering there, while Luna came over to Yukumo to do some gathering in the misty peaks. As for Ventaler and I, we were off to fight our first large monster in the misty peaks, the Arzuros. Fighting Arzuros, I think it was pretty cool. It was pretty much a big blue bear with a shell, and it was different from any monsters I had seen so far. It was also the first monster we fought that wasn't just a bigger version of any smaller monsters I had seen, and I appreciated that since I knew less what to expect. Ventaler also did a good job at protecting and healing me, and I think together we made a great team, and were able to take that Arzuros out. Day 30. Today was another day we decided to divide and conquer so that we could finish every remaining quest in Yukumo by tonight. We supplied various materials to people from Moga Village, Chico Sands, and Loklak, getting different ingredients for dishes in Bherna in exchange. Luna collected unique mushrooms and super sprouts. Puerlis got more super sprouts and secret stashes. Ventaler actually I'm impressed with. He went on an accounting quest, though he also managed to hunt an Arzuros completely on his own. I'm so proud of him. And then, I went on a quest late at night to take out around 15 Jagi, which was a little tedious, but I got it done. Day 31. After completing all of our quests in Yukumo, we finally returned to Bherna to tackle the 2 quests remaining there in pairs of 2. Luna and Puerlis, having heard of Ventaler's achievements, teamed up to do some accounting in the Jurassic Frontier and hunt a great macaw. Meanwhile, Ventaler and I went to the dunes in order to hunt 5 Hermitars. All in all, it was a relatively easy day for everyone, and surely we got to take on an urgent quest tomorrow. Day 32. As correct in that today, we would, in fact, receive an urgent quest. It was to face a large monster that was, of course, causing trouble for the research team, known as the Red Demon Frog, Tetsucabra. The quest wasn't until that night, so I spent the day preparing. I decided to bring Ventaler and Puerlis with me, a protector and a healer, and we ate some Moga deep-fried crab with some rich, crazy chili. I really like crab, though I suppose combining chili with it was an interesting choice. But hey, I'm here for the benefits of the meal, not necessarily the flavors. When we got to the Jurassic Frontier, I quickly found that Tetsucabra was a very interesting monster, being this giant, frog-like creature that had incredibly powerful jaws it used as a sort of shovel to pick up massive boulders and try to crush us with them. It jumped around a lot and had sharp claws, though of course it had a weak point, being its tail. I noticed that while sometimes there were spikes on its tail, those spikes would occasionally disappear and its tail would be especially weak. The subquest, however, was to break its jaw, so that was my focus for most of the quest. By the time I was able to accomplish that, however, the Tetsucabra was nearly dead, so I didn't really get to see how it affected how it used the boulders. It looked like it was still able to pick up and use boulders without difficulty, so I'm unsure if it actually changed anything at all. Anyway, having taken out the Tetsucabra, this should mark the end of my days of doing 2-star village quests, and the start of my days doing 3-star village quests, where I would receive less help from the quest receptionist for what I should do, and hopefully, where I would start seeing even more interesting monsters like Tetsucabra. I had a few moments, of course, where I feared for my life here, like with the Gendrome, but I have Luna, Ventaler, and Puerlis with me to help me out, and the Hunters Guild seems to make sure that we receive immediate medical attention if we are knocked unconscious. I'm a bit more confident about my chances of survival here, even if I am certain I've only reached the tip of the iceberg of what monsters and battles this world has to offer. After all, I'm only a month into my adventure here, and I look forward to what awaits me. Hello everybody, it's me, Ember, here to do my usual end of the video announcements. First off, if I sounded all goofy during the video, it is because I have bands my braces, as you could see, here and here. and it does make it a little more difficult to speak, so I've had to adjust to that as I was recording this video. I don't know when exactly I'll start entirely normal, but hey, I'm getting there. Second off, there may not be another Tale of a Hunter episode next week because I'll be gone from home, so I will not have as much time to record and edit as I usually do. I will still try to get an episode up, but there's no guarantee. Also, the next Tale of a Hunter episode is most likely going to be Mountain Rise, because I would like to be able to do Tale of a Hunter Sunbreak whenever Sunbreak comes out. Though, in order to do that, I do have to get through base Rise. So, I will be playing Rise, though I'm not just going to stop playing Generations Ultimate. It'll be more like I go back and forth between the two games. Also, the rest of the announcements today are the same as they have been in every other Tale of a Hunter episode. If you have a Palico that you would like to incorporate into the series, you can go to the Google form in the description. All you need is a name, and you don't even need either of the games. You could just put in a Palico and any other, details that you'd like to include the Palico, and boom, you can be in the game as a cat, kind of like Luna, Ventaler, Puerlis, so on. Also, if you'd like to hunt alongside me, as in you have either Generations Ultimate or Rise on the Switch, and you have, Nintendo Switch Online, and you can play with others, then you could join the Discord that is also in the description below, and we could work out a time that we could play together, so that way you can appear in another Tale of a Hunter episode as another hunter, as another person in this story, and so we can tackle on some of the multiplayer quests the game has to offer, and not just the single player stuff. Aside from that, make sure to like if you liked, dislike if you disliked, comment if you have anything to say. I do read all the comments, and I respond to as many as I have a response for. If you would like my videos or my live streams to show up in your subscription feed, then you can go ahead and subscribe. It is free, and you can always unsubscribe at any time later. And if you'd like to receive notifications for the uploads or the streams, then you can ring the notification bell, and it will notify you. Anyway, that's all for this episode, so I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!